Hello, in this lesson we're going to just build a basic report in Microsoft Access. This lesson is going to use the world_x database from the MySQL website. Put the link into Brightspace and into the description on the video. And it's a free dataset that's available from MySQL for testing. So we're going to use that to build a report from it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in a simple way, just loading up the software we need for this one. So we're going to be loading up uWamp for our MySQL database, because we need to use portable software. So there we go. It's up and we know it's running. Now we don't need Apache run, so we can go ahead and just stop that. Don't need to be using resources, we don't need. So our uWamp is now running. Next one to the road is our workbench. We're going to have to import a database. So our workbench up. Go ahead and reset that. We can have more than one on the screen at a time. And the last part we're going to need is just access itself. So we'll go ahead and we'll use the latest access. And we're going to use a blank database. So that's all our software up and running. And that's all we're going to need for this lesson. So the first task we're going to do is create a schema and actually import our database. So to our local host, we're still using the MAMP defaults, and we'll import our zip. So it comes as a zip file. We'll extract it, and we'll just go ahead and we'll open it. So open SQL file. I've got my downloads folder, world.sql. There we go. And from there we can just execute it. That'll just run through, and that'll create this world's dataset. I've actually, yep, that's created its own schema called world. That's fine. And from that, we've got our tables. You can actually see it in the list here. But we can also see we've got city, country, and country language. So we can just see what we've got in our tables. We've got city with the columns ID, name, country code, etc. We've got country with our columns, code, name, continent, region, population, capital, etc. And our language. Country code, the language is official, and the percentage of population that speaks it. So with this dataset, we're going to just build a report on the populations of each country. So we're going to go ahead and write a small query. Select, and we're going to select city dot name, city dot population, and city dot country code from the city table. We'll join the country table onto it. Go and join it on country, and country.code equals city.country code. I think I've missed my caps there, but go ahead and clear it. Yep, so I've got Cabal. Scroll down. Only got the first 1,000 results, which is fine, because that's all this brings up. So we've got a query, we've got a table. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move that over to Access, just so we can generate a report. So with Access, we need to create an ODBC driver. ODBC data source, 64-bit. Remember, use the correct bit one for what you've installed. I'm going to add a new one. It's MySQL. I'm going to do the Unicode. Double click it. And the name was, we have it right here, schema world. World. Oh, sorry, wrote that wrong. World description. World database. TCP/IP. It's localhost And we're going to use the default. We already know the database name, world. We're going to hit OK. So we now have that. That's in there in the list. So we can now go to Access, select external data, new data source from our sources, ODBC, and this time we'll leave it. This time I'm going to import just because we might need to submit files for assessment. So machine data sources, world, and hit OK, and we want all three tables. Select all. Okay. Don't need to save the import states, and there we go. Got our three tables here. Now they're not linked to the SQL database because we imported them. They really shouldn't be, but we'll do it in this method. We now have all the tables. We know they're there. Get rid of the empty table. So to begin with, we need to create a query. Now we already created it in our MySQL Workbench. We do our select. And this doesn't actually work in Microsoft Access because you need to actually specify what kind of join it is. Same data, but you need to tell it's an inner join for access. And we can go ahead and we can try and bring it over. So query design, switch to SQL view, and paste it in. Again, this occasionally happens with these. Not actually brought in the line breaks. So there we go. Now we can go ahead and run it and have the same results. This has got our starting query. We're going to call it. Do we want to save changes? Yes. We're going to call it city populations and countries. So we've saved that. And we can now start building a report. So what we're going to do, go into our create and report design. So we have our head, we have our details, we have our page footer. We're going to go ahead and link the data from the query that we just built. We're not going to add any orders just yet, but put our query in. And what we're going to do is add in some text for the page header. We're going to call it city populations and breakdown. Populations in city. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually add a group by to a report. We could have added it in the query, but if we add it in here, we actually get some extra features. And we can group by country. A at the top. And with here, with no totals, with a title, we actually want to find without a footer section, we actually bring it in. We now have our page header, our group by header. Don't actually need, but it'd be good to put the country name in here, the details, the footer, and then the page footer. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in some data to this. So text one was not bound to anything, and put in the country code. Now if we changed our query, we could actually bring in the country name, but this will do for now. And that's our header. Our group header. Now, it doesn't need to be big, then don't make it big. Then for our details, we can start listing the cities. So, close to the edge. City name. And we'll also bring in the population. And population. And that'll be for each one. So city name. Population. Again, resize it to what we need. And then the footer. it's once we're in the footer we can start actually adding totals. So we could have done it in here with totals. So we can actually total on population type sum. And we can actually just input it right in. There's there, see. This is what we were typing out manually, we could actually have just typed that. So sum, go ahead and delete that, I will. And we'll just go ahead and type it actually, equals sum. Normal brackets if it was a function, then square brackets to say we're going to be using a field. And the field name was population. Close the square brackets. Total population. That's the page footer. Let's go ahead and insert the normal ones. Oh, that's definitely inserted that in the wrong place. Page numbers. Make sure it goes in the footer, center alignment, and there we go. And once we've got this, we can actually quickly switch to report view. Not done. Report view, and we can start to see a report. So, got our country codes of Afghanistan. It's got each of the cities in the database, and then running total the population for that country. And we can start building the reports up in this way. See, we can go down. Tunisia. Rolled too far there. That's just a simple report. We can go ahead and save that. Want to save it? Do you wish to save design? Yes. I'll call it task 1. There's a report there. If we want to run that at any time, we can go ahead and run it. And as with all reports, we can print them. Print. And I'm going to print it to PDF. Where are my documents? Oh, it's sample print. That's printed. We hit a lot of pages. 404. Done that just now. Probably actually, I think it's actually crashed access. So that's our first report. Now, what I want you to do is actually modify it so that I want you to go away, download this dataset, create this report, and modify the query so that it has the country name. I also want city and population on the one line. Still want the total population, and for each page footer, I'd like you to include something. Include the date and time.